Thank you, Lisa, and you've done a great introduction, so I'm just gonna dive into it. I'm gonna take the next 10 minutes just going through, as Lisa mentioned, the synthesis, like a high-level snapshot of what we are hearing in the this research on the digital ag platform and its potential in a way that it explains why and what it can address the challenge of agriculture and how do they look like. And also, how can tech innovators can plug in and take advantage of it? So a very quick recap of the why and then just the context. As we all know, the smallholder farmers in Africa faces systemic challenges across market, land, and skills and knowledge and a capital infrastructure. And women, even if they are a major contributor to the labor force in agriculture, they face additional challenges. And a climate change is adding additional complexity. Next page, please. And here we start to see emergence of digital innovators who can help to tackle these challenges that smallholder farmers are facing across the productivity, livelihood, and gender equity and climate change through innovations that they bring in market access, land-related innovations, and the skill development innovations, as well as innovation in the capital, access to finance and infrastructure. Next page, please. Really going very quick. But when we look at the tech innovators, especially when you're looking at the relatively emerging and new startup tech innovators, they have a dynamism. However, they face several constraints to scale their solutions beyond their pilot and reach a large number of smallholder farmers. Why is that? Because they lack information. They lack how to get to the farmers, and they have limited resources to understand the customers. They have a challenge reaching a scale of a customer. Customer acquisition is very expensive, and the small startup can't do that immediately. They also don't have a relationship that a major corporate would have, including government, agribusiness, and all other stakeholders. And this is common for any tech innovators or innovators, but they lack access to finance. Next page, please. So this is why we have been looking at the digital agricultural platform, and the platform in a sense that it's a hub whereby the innovator can plug in to serve the smallholder farmers in conjunction with other innovators or platform leaders. This platform can bring the different stakeholders, different partners, including policymakers, digital innovators, as I mentioned, and donors to engage and enhance the productivity and improve the livelihood of the smallholder farmers. So how do they look like? In partnership with AgriFin and GIZ, we have reviewed these 4 types of the digital agricultural platform we call DAPs that we start to see their emergence in South Africa. And we have mapped their drivers, assets, how they enter the sequence, the product, the roadmap, and what their business model look like. How do they work with the partnership? We looked at the 4 categories I mentioned. Those are telco-led, agribusiness-led, bank-led, and the government-led. And as we look through these drivers and assets, there are some commonality across the platforms and some distinctive features. And there are more that you can see in the report that we'll be publishing soon, but a couple of snapshots here. So one is that the core business of the platform. So that means that if it's the bank-led, banking or financial services. So the core business of the platform and their motivation, why they enter to serve the smallholder farmers, that kind of determines what product they start with. So the bank, again, would start with the access to finance product, potentially coupled with some learning content. However, as the platform evolves, it will add the other product onto the platform. And we see some convergence that this platform, even if they start differently, they converge to provide a similar product as a portfolio. Similarly, we saw that a core business and the motivation determines the business model it takes. So, for example, for telco, it tends to be this is the actual P&L. So this is a direct revenue driving. The platform needs to raise its own revenue and a profit margin. While in the agribusiness, we see more that a digital platform is the part of the core agribusiness. And obviously, the government tends to be more serving really for the benefit of the farmers. Next page, please. And the quick summary of the how we thought as the key success factors of this platform from the view of the platforms. So I move on to a view of the tech innovator, but this is from the view of a platform. What are the key success factors? There are 6. So one is the vision, and particularly vision around the product and the roadmap. Rather than starting in the ad hoc way of let me start with finance and then add the learning, we need to have the kind of roadmap, start with what and add what. And that would allow the organization to build the capacity as it goes and engage the partner at the right time rather than at the last minute. Next one is the customers. While the different platform tends to target the different customers, we have seen the very limited case that they do so consciously. And even less the not many platform, or let's say some platform engage the customer deeply and others don't. And we see the reward of engaging customer in the design and the quick feedback loop to tweak and reiterate the products to enhance the uptake and the usage. Business model, similar to the product vision and roadmap, it's important to have that upfront, especially to have that internally aligned. There will be an investment required in the beginning, and the management needs to buy into that idea of how long and when you want to see this business to be picking up. Capabilities, regardless of the model, there are some core capability that a platform must have. Those are technology, process, and then people, particularly ag expertise. As a part of the capability, field agent, even if that can be outsourced, it is important to remember that digital is not the replacement of the field force. So field force is the must-have for the DAP. Partnership, I come to that, but the partnership tends to help the product diversification and expanding a channel from the view of the DAP, the platform leaders as well. And finally, enabling environments such as regulations, digital penetration, digital literacy, innovation ecosystem, and the ag ecosystem. It's important for DAP, the platform leaders, to assess them and design and sequence the platform accordingly to take advantage of enabling environment as well as to go around it if there is some limitations. Now, moving on to the next slide, the core of this discussion today about TSO. What does it mean for tech innovators? As mentioned, the platform can address the innovators' constraints that are information, customer acquisition, relationships, and investment funding. And this is the kind of a snapshot of what we heard from tech innovators working with the partners. On the left-hand side, I have what's good about it. On the right-hand side, what's difficult about it. So tech innovators is finding the working with the platform, giving them a scale and a speed of a scaling. They give the brand and the credibility with farmers. We constantly hear from the farmers that they went with this provider because we know them, and that's really important. The tech innovator can also get the access to quality, the channel services like a field agent by working with the platforms. And also because as a technology innovator plugs in, they get a synergy with other product. That means also farmers are empowered. And given that a scale potential, they might mobilize additional funding, either from the platform leaders themselves or external funders. What's challenging about it? Misaligned vision, misaligned speed of growth. Sometimes the platform players, they're too quick. So telco tends to be too quick for some of the boots on the ground kind of partners. The banks tend to be very slow for agile tech innovators, for example. Sorry, conscious of the time, I'm just going to go very quick. Other challenges are stringent or unclear data sharing policy, what to do with my data, what's going to happen to my data, mismatch on business model. I want a fee for service, but they want us to do a co-invest, long procurement process, needless to say, and the limited partner engagement capacity from the platform side. Hence, I had a meeting last month and I haven't heard anything back. And then finally, in occasional cases, we've seen a duplication of effort by the platform leader and some being kicked out from the platform. So with these, so it clearly there is advantage of going with the platform or the big platform. However, as I say in the next page, we need to know, tech innovator needs to know what to do, how to engage the platform. Lisa, given the time, should I read it through?
I think we can go ahead and discuss it in the panel. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, there's things to do across the partnership process. So there are things to do before partnership. Make sure you also have a product roadmap and hopefully finance partners as well, so that you can catch up with the scale. As you explore the partnership, go with somebody who can share your vision and the priorities. You don't want to go with somebody who thinks that your product isn't just nice to have. Now, in a more practicality side, important to understand and develop the relationship. Who's the key decision makers in the organization? The platform leaders tends to be big and have many divisions. You need to engage the right person, and you need in the discussion. You need some patience and investment of time. And during the discussion, make sure to discuss the solid financial analysis, and you don't postpone the revenue sharing discussion. That could come up later and surprise you. And then similarly, data ownership, data sharing, who owns, who can do what, that's also the upfront conversation to have. And as you work together, clearly define the roles and responsibility, and define the communication mechanism and the troubleshooting mechanism. So those are very quick, rapid principles, but this is based on our research as well as the 5 years working with the AgriFin facilitating the partnership. Very last, just a very quick preview what's coming. We are GIZ, Mercy Corp, and Dalberg are publishing a white paper around the digital agricultural platform blueprint. This is based on the sort of compilation of 5-6 years of work we've done together, and the additional interviews with the 40+ companies. And it will include the key findings and principles from the platform's view, some recommendation for the platform and donors, and some findings around how to use this to scale the technology innovators, and some angle around the climate and gender goals.